Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order Monday, May 9th, 2022 at 6:01 p.m. Our invocation tonight is by Sherry O'Connell of the Salvation Army.
Our community, Lord, and we pray that you'll just be with our council members, help them as they have to make these decisions that come to them. We ask you just to be with those that are our community, to see the fellowship and the friendship that we offer. And we give you praise in your name. Amen.
Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Kong is absent and excused. Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Maholi is absent and excused. Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Here.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Thank you.
Public comments. Notice to the public. This time is set aside to receive public comment on matters not calendared on the agenda. When recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Under California law, the city council is prohibited from generally discussing or taking actions on items not included in the agenda. However, the city council may briefly respond to comments or questions from members of the public. Therefore, the city council will listen to all public comment, but will not generally discuss the matter or take action on it. Do we have any public comment?
I do not see any raised hands.
All right, moving on. Introduction of Police Officer Carla Jimenez. Police Standridge will introduce our new police officer.
Evening, Council, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Officer Carla Jimenez. She completed the Police Academy back in January and recently completed field training today. So she is now officially released on her own. So I wanted to bring her and introduce her to Council. Officer Jimenez. So I think most everybody knows she is a Bishop native, and she was the first police officer, to my understanding, that was sent to the academy by the Bishop Police Department. So we're extremely happy with her success, and we see great things coming.
So being the first person sent to the academy by the city of Bishop is an honor for me, at least. And I wanted to thank you for the opportunity, give me the opportunity to go to the academy, especially being raised in Bishop. I really thank you for that.
Welcome. Well, thank you for serving as a police officer. We need you, and we need female police officers. So thank you very, very much.
Of course, thanks.
Thank you for everything you're doing, Carla. Congratulations on completing the academy, and bienvenida.
Yes.
Job. You'll do a great job out there. You know the town, you know the people. So I think I welcome you to this level of your career, and wish you the best. And thank you for what you do.
Of course, thank you.
And now Police Chief Standridge will introduce Police Sergeant David Scobie.
He is, I'm sorry, Mayor, he was a last minute scratch.
Okay.
Kind of similar to what some of the other things we have going on this
Next
evening.
week? Next?
Yeah,
Okay. We'll meet him next meeting. All right, well then we'll move on to presentations. We have a presentation to Inyo Mono Associates for the Handicapped. The presentation to the Bishop Police Officers Association, BPOA, will be made to the Inyo Mono Association for the Handicapped.
Robin, do you have your cell phone? Robin, do you have your cell phone? Can you get a picture when you do this? I'll let everybody come. So if I can, I'd like to introduce staff from the IMA and give them an opportunity to say something. We, here in just a second, well, when I was approached by the POA to do the patch project, we really didn't know where it was going to go or how successful it would be, especially being new and looking at Autism Awareness Month. But we kind of took it a step further. You know, with the city of Bishop has a pretty substantial size special needs community. So we took advantage of the Autism Awareness Month as a way to raise some funds and to donate it to a local worthwhile organization to not just support autism awareness, but also so they can utilize whatever funds we were able to obtain to provide some services to all of our handicapped and special needs residents that they provide service to. And since I've been here, I've been fortunate enough to see some of the clients and meet some of them and some of the things that they do out in the community. And they're a vital part of our community. And it's important that we as public servants do what we can to continue to support these folks as they work a hard job. And, you know, often police, fire, nurses, we all get the recognition because we just tend to be a uniform profession that is more public. But it's these folks that are behind the scenes that work with their clients and this population every day that gets these folks out into the public, gets them to be a viable part of our community, and they can provide a service while at the same time gaining a lot of self-esteem and self-reliance. So I really believe that in this organization, and I'm happy that the Bishop Police Officers Association selected IMA to receive the funds. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Hohenstein, the Vice President of the Bishop Police Officers Association.
Good evening, everyone. So on behalf of the Bishop Police Officer Association, we would like to donate $1,400 to IMA.
Wow.
Wow, thank you.
There you go, guys. That's for the proceeds that we earned from selling of the patches.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, come.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We know that we bother you guys quite a bit because we do have issues, not with our clients, because our clients are amazing. But yes, thank you so much for thinking of us for sure.
No, thank you. We really
Yes,
appreciate it.
we appreciate you guys.
I was happy that you were ready to accept our donation. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Council, I don't have anything else. If you don't have anything to me.
Thank you.
Chief
Sir.
and IMA and BPOA, don't get out of here yet, Ho. I want to say thank you. The chief touched on it, the community, how the community comes together in times of need and helps people out in the community. And I've been on the receiving end of it. I've been on the giving end of what a great community we have here. But it's the little things sometimes that get not seen. And you're a perfect example, and Chief and BPOA, thank you. Because sometimes it's the little unseens that still need just as much help, just as much support. And the key to a good community is the people coming together to help everyone. And I thank you. I applaud you. I think that this is what exemplifies Bishop as being such a great community and keeps it going. So thank you guys for the effort you put forth to provide IMA with this funds to help members of our community who sometimes don't get seen, and to get them out there in the public, like you said, to give them some self-esteem and to make them a part of our community is huge. So truly, on behalf of us sitting here and myself, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And council, thank you for the support for allowing us to do these type of programs. We're already trying to plan on what we're going to do next year.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, moving on to presentations. Oh, no, we just finished that one. Moving on to proclamations. A proclamation declaring May 2022 as Healthcare District Month in the City of Bishop. Presented by Northern Inyo Healthcare District Chief Executive Officer Kelly Davis.
Good
Hey.
evening. And
Hi,
thank
Kelly.
you. Hey, how are you?
Good. Keep going.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this evening's City Council meeting. On behalf of Northern Inyo Healthcare District leadership, I am honored to express our appreciation for our community healthcare workers and first responders. Each year, the City Council has graciously proclaimed May as Northern Inyo Healthcare District Month, aligning this recognition with the nation's celebration of Hospital Week. Tonight's proclamation declaring May as Healthcare District Month allows a focus on those who tirelessly and compassionately give so much of themselves to our community. The last 26 months have been challenging, and to say so would be an understatement for the healthcare workers across the United States and the Eastern Sierra. Faced with ever-changing pandemic positions, a steady stream of updated vaccines, and varying treatments, healthcare workers once deemed essential now face nationwide staffing shortages, burnout issues, and general fatigue. Much has been written about those who left healthcare and first responder jobs. Very little has been said about those who continue to serve in the post-pandemic era. While the challenges are still there, these workers graciously take on extra shifts, warmly support one another, and continue to rise to serve their neighbors and loved ones. You see these folks around town at our schools, in our workplaces. These include, but are not limited to, our firefighters, our air ambulance team, police officers, paramedics, EMTs, our hospital and county teams at every level, and many other community workers required to respond to health-related needs in emergency situations. We are very appreciative of the action our City Council is taking once again in honoring all of these community members who contribute to ensuring the health and safety of our community members. These workers continue to risk their personal safety to execute their respective duties. Honoring our healthcare workers and first responders by proclaiming May as Healthcare District Month demonstrates an appreciation and heartfelt thanks for those continuing to keep our communities safe and healthy. This proclamation and your ongoing support as City Council and community members is greatly appreciated. I thank you on behalf of the executive team of Northern Inyo Healthcare District and all of our folks who work so tirelessly.
Okay, I will begin the Bishop City Council proclamation declaring May 2022 as Healthcare District Month. Whereas the global coronavirus pandemic has affected the lives of all of us living in the Eastern Sierra, and especially the city of Bishop and town of Mammoth Lakes, which both reported deaths within the community. And whereas the vital efforts of our dedicated first responders and healthcare workers to protect, educate, and aid the public during the ongoing pandemic should be acknowledged. And whereas our first responders and healthcare workers include, but not limited to, public healthcare workers, paramedics, volunteer firefighters, air ambulance personnel, physicians, nurses, physician assistants, medical assistants, certified nursing assistants, clinical laboratory scientist, phlebotomist, respiratory care, purchasing, environmental services, laundry, admission services, and the vast administrative and leadership teams behind them. And
Whereas every day, these first responders and healthcare workers risk their own safety in the performance of their duties to protect our citizens. And whereas these first responders and healthcare workers are the first and best defense against all medical emergencies that may threaten our communities. And whereas our first responders and healthcare workers are ready to aid the people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of crisis or other hazards. And whereas our first responders and healthcare workers are highly trained, specialized professionals who contribute their excellent skills for the public good. And
whereas these first responders and healthcare workers undergo extensive education and training and make significant personal sacrifices in order to achieve the expertise required to respond to medical emergencies. And whereas, in addition to maintaining our health and safety in times of crisis, many first responders and healthcare workers also enhance their communities as volunteers for service organizations, churches, and schools. Now, therefore, I, Karen Schwartz, Mayor of the City of Bishop, do hereby proclaim May 2022 to be Healthcare District Month and encourage all citizens to take some time this month to show our healthcare workers how much we value their service to our city. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Bishop to be affixed this 9th day of May, 2022. And we have the proclamation for you that we can arrange to have sent to the to the hospital. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you very much. Your support is always appreciated.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to County of Inyo update report prepared and presented by 2nd District Supervisor Jeff Griffiths.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Nice to see you all. I don't have a whole lot for my report today, but I will start off with the water situation, which encompasses the drought and low runoff, low snowfall that we're seeing, and also the concurring fire impacts because of that. The Board of Supervisors received an update from the Inyo National Forest staff about what current conditions are, and as you can expect, since this is the lowest runoff year that we have had in history, and it is the 2nd year of pretty serious drought. And the weather forecast says that we will have higher than average temperatures and lower than average rainfall and moisture within the fuels, that we're looking at a pretty severe risk of wildfire this year. So compounding that, there has been difficulty in getting workforce for the fire crews for the Forest Service, both on the Inyo National Forest as well as throughout the entire Western United States. And so we're looking at perhaps having more severe restrictions on fires earlier, and we may be looking at a smoky season this year. I do want to remind the council that and the public that there is the Citizens Wildfire Academy that we have been putting together through the Eastern Sierra Council of Governments. It is a 6-part series to educate the public on wildfire and what they can do to harden their homes and best prevent catastrophic events. And the next one will be a week from today, Monday, May 16th at 6 p.m. It's available on Zoom. That's the second of the 6-part series. The next thing that I wanted to bring up was the topic of homelessness in our region. So as you know, Amaka has had some financial difficulties, but they were very gracious to receive the assistance from the city of Bishop, the other allied agencies. And so as far as the continuum of care, that's the coalition of people that manage all of the homeless programs. Inyo County has stepped up to become the lead agency to do that. And we are anticipating a grant from one of our healthcare agencies to do some planning on how we can best stand up and be able to receive the tremendous amount of funding that's coming from the state of California right now. For me personally, I have been appointed to be the representative for rural counties for the Homelessness Action Team. That's a collaboration between California State Association of Counties as well as the League of California Cities to look at ways that California can better deal with the homeless situation. I believe that there are some grave needs within rural counties that aren't being met, and the systems that are set up by the state of California are set up for large urban areas that don't necessarily represent our area. So we're looking to advocate on behalf of our community and all rural communities, and I'll be happy to receive any input that you might have on that type of thing. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is working with a group, including Inyo County, and a group called ECHO. We have brought the Mexican consulate back like we did last year. And we were able to change the system this time to take appointments directly. And so we're taking only appointments from Inyo and Mono County, and those slots got filled up very quickly. But like over 400 slots for residents of our community. And on Thursday, we will be having a dual citizenship ceremony for folks that are citizens of both the United States and Mexico. And I will be presiding over that. And I've been asked to invite the mayor if she would be willing to come and say a few words.
Sure.
With that, that's the conclusion of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
When you,
Okay. Okay. So something that we learned about in the first 5 commission meeting that we had, for a variety of reasons, mostly non-pandemic related, Inyo County and particularly the city of Bishop has lost somewhere in the neighborhood of 117 childcare slots over the last 6 months. And so it's what I would consider a crisis. And I think a lot in our community would consider a crisis. And so the first 5 commission, as well as the child care planning or child care coordination committee, I can't remember the exact name of it, considers it a crisis. And so the first 5 has $50,000 worth of mini grants, and we are dedicating those funds towards retention and growth of childcare slots for our community. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question regarding restrictions for fire. Are you guys thinking like banning campground fires? Do you guys have any idea of what those restrictions might look like?
So as far as Inyo County goes, we only have the county-run campgrounds that we have authority over, and we follow very closely BLM restrictions. And the BLM and the Forest Service, I know, have been in coordination about coordinating those restrictions. And Inyo County will just follow right along with whatever they have. We did have some extensive discussions with the Forest Service because if you recall last year, there was a forest-wide closure, not just of the Inyo National Forest, but all of the forests in Southern California. And I think there was a recognition that perhaps wasn't the wisest way to go about it, because there are still people coming up here, and it just forces those people to concentrate down lower in the valley. And similarly, if BLM does a closure like that, then it just forces it on to the Department of Water and Power land. And I don't know that we came to any resolution with that, because those tend to be region-wide decisions or decisions that come out of Washington, D.C. But I think there's a recognition that we need to take into account the entire situation and what's the best way to prevent it. But it's a long answer to your question, but we will be following what the BLM does.
Okay.
Jeff, I'm glad the Forest Service sees that, because every action has a reaction, and the number's still the same, you're just condensing it and moving it around. So on the childcare, that is kind of concerning. Is there, you said some of it's pandemic, are they going to research, kind of reach out to some of the past providers and find out why they're not in the game anymore? And
yeah, so it's really interesting. So one big chunk that was lost was Discovery Point Preschool, which was formerly Smokies, which was on that spot on Yaney Street. The Forest Service legal people decided that was not, they weren't. And then Grace Lutheran Preschool, I believe it's Grace Lutheran. They had workforce issues. couldn't find people. And then there were a handful of other private care providers with 6 or 8 slots each who were retiring or moving out of the area or whatnot. So it really was a wide variety of reasons.
Can some of that funding that's available be used to, I know there's costs associated with getting in, whether it's the fingerprinting, the backgrounds, the prepping the house to meet California codes. Can that be used to maybe help supplement some people to look at that path?
100%. So there's already funding through existing childcare subsidies to help pay for those costs. The mini grants that First Five has is an additional avenue for people to get some funding to be able to stand up. I think in the end of the day, our high cost of housing is a huge impediment to folks, and then finding workforce. Finding someone who's willing to work for, what is a relatively low wage to take care of these little critters. It's a challenge.
It's not just here though. It's, yeah, as you say, with the homeless, the problems we're seeing here, they're everywhere. We just have to find the answers to them.
Right. And I
Best
know
practices.
Mammoth has been dealing with the childcare crisis issue for a decade, at least now. And it was tough before here, but the last 6 months have been really challenging. So,
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll keep up on that.
great.
Any other questions? No, thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, everyone. And I'll be in touch about Thursday.
Okay, is it this Thursday?
This Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to department reports. First up is Fire Chief Joe Dell.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Short Council. In case you guys haven't noticed, it's been windy. It's actually been really windy all spring. Pushing some of our abilities. We've been assisting with abating building owners and signs that have been coming down, and a lot of other things. Getting ready for the significant fire season, as Supervisor Griffiths was talking about, and the wind doesn't help with drying out of the already dry fuels. So other stuff that we're working on is, if you remember, in 2020, we were donated from GM and the California Firefighters Foundation a Chevy Tahoe, which was black. And now our fire prevention officer, Megan Doonan, is out on maternity leave. And so we're trying to quickly get that ready for her. So we've painted it white, working on striping, radios, and light bars. And then in probably about another month, you should see another fire vehicle driving around, and that's her out there keeping our city safe. We continue, as Northern Union brought up, EMS. So we're continuing our EMS mission and our critical resiliency role. In fact, I missed our last meeting, but prior to that meeting, we got a cardiac save. So we were dispatched with no ambulance available. Our units got on scene and put on the AED and got a shock. And that person was transferred up to Renown with pulses and extubated. Also, as I showed you guys have it up there, the plaque, we were recently honored by the District 9 High School Rodeo Association. We did all their standbys over the last few months as we've been getting lots of requests to fill that role in the community as the others haven't. And then we are gearing up for the 4th of July. So we're getting ready for the celebration of the park and the fireworks and getting pretty busy with that. Any questions?
None from me, thank you. No. Okay, thank you. Police Chief Richard Standridge.
Mayor, Council, back again. So pretty much kind of echo what Chief Dell had to say. We're getting ready for Mule Days, High School Rodeo coming up, 4th of July. So a lot of events. May is an extremely busy month for us. And our continued focus, as I have been preaching since the day I got here, is traffic, 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 and we'll continue to enforce traffic. So At the end of next month, I'll have a little change to the monthly report. I'll start providing kind of a 2-month synopsis so you can kind of look forward and look back and kind of see where we're at and where we're going. And other than that, does council have anything for their police chief tonight?
Thank you for keeping up with enforcing traffic. Sometimes walking down Main Street, I can see, and everybody does too, some vehicles speeding on Main and other streets. So thank you for keeping our city and our community safe.
Sir? Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Community Services Manager Dan McElroy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a quick update from our Community Services Department. Tonight, I'll speak to our programs. In our programs, we continue to offer our after-school program, our gymnastics club, our City League softball, which has concluded its first week, and that's in the books. Our Sunday gymnastics program has now kicked off. And also our weekday tumble tots in the mornings from about 9 to noon. And we continue to offer our kind of program as well. At the park and the facilities, the pool is up and running with swim team, lap swim, starting at 4:30 each afternoon. That's Monday through Friday. We continue to host Little League, Eastern Sierra Girls Softball, City League Softball, and AYSO at the park on our fields. Just to let everyone know, including the public, we're gonna probably open the dog park a few days early. So hopefully sometime next week. Our grass germinated and is looking good, and we're getting ready to reopen the dog park. Flower baskets will be here in 2 weeks. And like everyone else has said, we're just getting ready for Mule Days. We continue to work on our Parks and Recreation office, our new community service office, which is located just across the hall from here. And we also have a new driveway at Unit 14, and hopefully that resident will be moving in very soon. So that's all I have for you tonight, unless you have any questions or comments.
How was the Fishmas, the kids fishing camp? And
Fish camp was great. So we ended up with 20 kids. It was very windy.
okay,
And it was hard because the instructors, including myself, kind of got down on the wind, but the kids were so incredibly fantastic that it kept it absolutely upbeat, and they made it. It was unbelievable.
awesome.
Best fish camp ever. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Next up is Associate Planner, Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. Just a few items this evening. First, we've published the negative declaration, which is the CEQA document for the potential bike park that will be located in the back of the Bishop City Park. So that's in its 30-day public comment period right now. And I've received a few comments, and they've all been very supportive of the project. Also wanted to let you know that we continue to work very closely with Housing and Community Development to revise our housing element. Hopefully, we're in our last round of revisions, and I'll be bringing that back before your council at the next meeting. We're also about to publish the public draft of the EIR for the specific plan. There's a 45-day public comment period for that document. I expect it to be published probably in the next couple of weeks. And that'll be the final hurdle to adopting the specific plan. So excited about the progress on that. And then finally wanted to let you know that we have completed the scoring of the cannabis applications. And then the next steps in that is that we will meet with each of the applicants, city staff consisting of the police chief, the public works director, city administrator, and planning staff will have an interview panel, and we'll meet with each of those applicants and prepare a second set of scores, and then come back to the city council with a recommendation on those. Concludes my update for this evening. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Have nothing?
I
You-
have nothing tonight.
Thank
Lots
you.
going on. Thank you for your report and all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. And then next, we have the City Administrator and Public Works Director, Destin Deshawn.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Start off on the Public Works side. So Caltrans will begin their dig outs project on Main Street tomorrow, which is great news. They should easily be done before the Meal Days crowd starts showing up. So there'll be some disruptions for the public, but should be very quick in and out job. Second, the ball field that we actually put funding into our gas tax funding, the sidewalk next to ball field 1 should go out to bid this week. We have plans and I'm just putting together the specs for that, and then it should go out this week. Probably hopefully be completed before the 1st of July. I'd like the next meeting, I will bring you a resolution and a funding for the RMRA portion of the gas tax funds. That's project orientated money that we will this year with a lot of rules on it. But we have an enormous need in the city to repair damaged and defective sidewalks. So we're going to intend to, the resolution I'll bring to you is to allocate that funding to that. And it will also help on the general fund using the gas tax funds. And then probably lastly, and I heard a little bit about it this evening. So the weeds are going crazy in town and Public Works is on it. The winds have stopped us from spraying, as well as the other main operation has been traffic painting, which has also been halted due to the high winds. And painting and wind doesn't go together, nor does spraying weeds. So Public Works has been plenty busy with other projects. On the city administrator side, been meeting with and actually have almost completed the process of with each department on budget proposals, where Jenny and I are putting those together right now and for our next council meeting when we have our budget hearings. Employee negotiations are complete. Was a very good interaction between management and all the employees groups. I felt it went well. It's good to have. And lastly, I've reached out to Ryan Dermody. I think he made a comment to Mayor Schwartz about the truck bypass. So I think it's back on again and we can start discussing that. He's actually, hopefully this week, we'll get to sit down and look at that again. That's an enormous project that'll take the county, the city, and Caltrans and everybody, but they need someone such as the city to champion the project, and then they will be able to help with that. So other than that, I have nothing to report. Unless you have any questions of me.
Destin, and maybe I've missed it, East Line Street Bridge, what's the update on that?
East Line Street Bridge has awarded a consultant contract for design. We're actually kind of held up by the state process, some paperwork that our all consultants within the state are not able to obtain. So Caltrans is changing the rules as we speak to make that easier. It was a brand new rule that was implemented this year. It was basically accounting processes and stuff of the consultant, which it didn't seem reasonable, but now Caltrans has found out it isn't reasonable. So it's moving along though. We're on track. Once we get going, we're probably talking a year process to get a project ready to go and then still meet us being able to get the CRISA funds that this county or the state has for COVID for us. And actually the LTC has dedicated those funds to that project, which speeds it up. Construction was looking like 2029. Now we're looking at 2024. Well, and the reason the 2029 date is due to the fact that the Lancha Cartago project, that LTC has dedicated all the funds to that project to get it completed. So that now, once that's completed, which will go to construction actually right now, then it'll take several years to get out of the red and get our STIP funding back onto the positive side.
But it hasn't fell through cracks somewhere, so good job.
Yeah, no, it has not.
Thank you, Destin.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to the consent calendar, notice to the public, all matters under the consent calendar are considered routine by the city and will be acted on by one motion. Do you guys have any questions?
Public comment?
Any public comment?
I see no raised hands.
I don't have any question. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a vote and a second. Call for the vote or a motion and a second.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
All right, moving on to new business. Rear bay doors for fire station number 1. This goes to fire.
Good evening again. The other day, the shop watching the doors go up, they wobbly, pieces falling off of them. If you guys can remember in 2020, we replaced the front 5 bay doors. And then so it's time to replace the rear 2 at Station 1. Costs have gone up quite a bit, construction costs, labor costs. So we're looking at approximately $4,000 more per door. I did a little bit of math and it looks like those doors are original to the station expansion in 73. So 30 years is 20 years off. So tonight I'm asking that you guys adjust the budget and add some money to our building operations line item and then approve the purchase of the bay doors. One of the issues that we ran into is just people to bid on the project. So, but we are going with the same door manufacturer and the same installer. So
We don't want anybody to get hurt. It's like a,
no, and we want the doors to go up and down when we need.
yes, yes. Seems like it's a emergency purchase.
Yeah, seems good to me. We need them.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any comments from the public?
I see no raised hands.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Jim Ellis would like to make a motion to approve the budget adjustment of adding $13,684.50 to the building operations line item and approve the budget of bay doors from Trim Construction and Allen's Garage Doors of $13,684.25 with the Rural Fire Protection District purchasing the other half of same number for a total not to exceed $27,368.50.
I'll second that.
Okay, call for a vote?
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, council.
Yes.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing the new doors. Okay. Moving on to item B, resolution, a proposed resolution to establish stop signs and markings at the intersection of West Elm Street and Hobson Street. Mr. Deshawn.
Thank you, council. So I should note that maybe Terrence should do this item for me. He had a wonderful article in the paper this weekend and described it beautifully. So anyways, the intersection of West Elm and Hobson Street was built a very substandard offset. There's a 35-foot offset, and unfortunately I don't have anything for the screen, but I've provided a map for everybody that creates a lot of issues for mostly north and southbound traffic on Hobson. In order to make a left-hand turn movement, you have to pull out into the east or westbound traffic of Elm to issue for traffic. It's also a heavily used intersection by school children and children in general walking, or the walking public. And they have that same exact issue trying to cross that street. So it was brought to our attention a number of months ago. There's quite a process for doing it correctly to installing or an application of a four-way stop. The Chief Standridge visited the intersection. I visited as the Public Works Director and deemed this, made the initial evaluation that there is a necessity for a stop sign there. Through the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is through the state of California, it describes the process in order to apply a four-way stop to an intersection. This one of the main objectives is that it has to be studied or at least evaluated by a traffic engineer. We're fortunate enough to have the relationship with Inyo County and their public works director, who is a traffic engineer. He made an evaluation. His evaluation is also at the end of this and deemed it necessary as well. So based on the determination and the evaluation of all three of these people, that there's definitely a need for it. So there are no obvious economic impacts, although there are safety benefits that will pay dividends to our community and especially our school children. If this resolution is approved, the funds will come from the 023-52-018 street maintenance budget. And the actual cost to install this four-way stop will be less than $1,000. At this time, I would like to recommend that you approve the proposed resolution for the proposed installation of a four-way stop at the intersection of West Elm Street and Hobson Street by title only. And we'd like to add that it was missed on here and order the installation to be completed by the Public Works Department.
Well, I think this is a great safety issue, so thank you for making it happen. And I think our residents will be really happy to see the four-way stop.
Agreed.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I will echo Mayor Schwartz's there. It's so much, it's been needed for so long. And I think it's just kind of one of those things that for $1,000 to protect the public and the children, especially as you see more and more traffic in Bishop in that area. Just money well spent, Destin, and thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Yes, they're needed. Thank you, Destin.
Welcome.
Do you have any public comment? Okay, yep, we have, come on up, Ann. Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Annie Camacho and 24 Rome Drive. And on a daily basis, I am a teacher at the high school who drives my 3 teenagers to Bishop High School. And a few months ago, I brought it to Karen's attention that after almost getting T-boned by a school bus, almost getting T-boned the other direction by a Subaru, and then myself as I pulled out into the intersection, almost, colliding with another car. I just said, this is not okay. This is not safe whatsoever. And we have a new driver in the family, and he's like, I'm not driving to school that way. He just refuses. It's really, really dangerous. In addition to that, it's true that there are school kids that I see that are walking that way. And, they have the AirPods on and they sort of pay attention, but sometimes they don't. And it's also challenging because the cars are parking all the way up to the corner. And I believe a stop sign will require that the cars park back further because of the rules that when there's a stop sign, you have to park further back away from the curb. I also noticed that, and this is not on the docket, but the street at Hobson and Grove is more straight. You're running into some of the same situation there, that cars are parking up, and I took pictures. Cars are parking up so close to the curb that it's very challenging to see on traffic going east and west when you're going north and south. And I'm grateful that the city council and that the city administrator did the footwork to make that happen. So
Well, thanks for being an involved community member.
thank you.
And thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And any of the Hobson Grove component, thank you for bringing that up. I live nearby there and I deal with kind of inching out, hoping that no one smacks me. So but now
For
that you-
$1,000, I mean, it's totally a safety issue, and our kids are going back and forth, and that's what we want in Bishop. We want our kids walking to and fro from the high school for activities and But because of that, because of the lack of sidewalks, we need to at least make sure that those cross sections are clear.
No, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It looks like we have some more public comment. Yep, please come on up. Please state your name and address.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Barry Nicely, 2278 Baskerville Highlands. I don't know if I missed it, but Destin are they going to use the red lighted stop signs? The ones with the red lights going around it? If not, those are great. I don't know if that's an application you can use, but I think that's
Yeah, it's definitely.
paramount.
And it'll be looked at. Initially, it's just gonna be a standard stop sign at this point, and then we'll evaluate it as it moves forward if that's necessary.
So that's something you could add subsequently to evaluating the stop signs themselves.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mary Baker and I live at 630 West Elm Street. I live about 4 doors down on the south side of Elm. I'm sure the police department is tired of me calling because mostly we have had just incredible speeding going on. And I believe the 4-way stop would work. I disagree about the lighted stop. Elm Street is a very old, kind of special street. I think a regular stop sign, I know I don't want to look out and see the flashing lights from my house. And I think there needs to be, there are those beautiful pillars on the 4 corners. And to put a big flashing, it just takes away. I think if there's a stop sign, that's enough. And I agree with you about the cars. There are too many cars parked. That first area when you're heading west, where the first little curve happens, there are multiple cars parked there. And then at the corner, the northeast corner, at times there will be 4 cars parked right up to the corner. And so people coming from Hobson, it's very difficult to see, especially heading south. So I totally support the 4-way stop. I'm just asking as a resident that we try to do it in a way that doesn't destroy the beauty of the pillars and the neighborhood, because it's one of the reasons I've lived there for 45 years and it's a nice place and it needs to be taken care of in an aesthetic way. So I'm asking that please do it, but please do it nicely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone, for your public comment and participating. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
Jose wants me
Do. I can do it. I'll do it. Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the proposed resolution for the proposed installation of a 4-way stop at the intersection of West Elm Street and Hobson Street by title only, and order installation to be completed by the Public Works Department.
I will second that.
Great. Call for a vote.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, establishing stop signs and markings at the intersection of West Elm Street and Hobson Street. Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, Council.
Yes, when do we expect that?
So if the weather cooperates, which it doesn't look like so this week, probably next week though. It's to get through the wind, and not only the wind, but for the paint to dry, we need some temperature, a little bit better temperature. So I expect it by the end of next week.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to a proposed resolution creating an ad hoc fire advisory committee to study fire emergency medical services and the appointment of 2 council members to said committee. Administration.
You guys are going to be tired of me before long. So as council knows, the city currently provides fire service through a joint powers agreement. between the City of Bishop and the City of Bishop Fire Department and the Bishop Rural Fire Protection District, collectively termed as the Bishop Fire Department. With the ultimate purpose of improving the city's provision of fire and emergency medical services, staff is recommending that the City Council create a temporary ad hoc committee comprised of not more than 2 City Council members and certain city staff to explore options relating to these services and make recommendations to the full City Council. It would be expected that the city administrator would seek out additional members for the ad hoc committee as deemed necessary and appropriately, including but not limited to Inyo County and the Rural Fire District Board themselves. So, and typically 2 of them, 2 council members, and then a county. The county is in charge of EMS and fire overall. So I expected, we don't want too large of a group, but somewhere between 5 and 7 is what I would suspect that number would be. Temporary ad hoc committees comprised of less than a majority of council members are not considered legislative bodies for the purposes of Brown Act. Staff is recommending that the City Council create an ad hoc fire advisory committee and appoint 2 council members to serve on this committee with the city administrator and fire chief. The attached resolution will create an ad hoc committee for this purpose. The scope of the duties would be including an analysis of the current structure, duties, funding, staffing, and structure of the fire and EMS services being provided by the City of Bishop. Further, to provide recommendations as the committee deems appropriate related to fire, EMS, that would provide fire service to the City of Bishop and district coverage areas as an independent authority. So I will add that, it gets confusing. There's already a JPA, but it's only a joint powers agreement at this time. This would be exploring the joint powers authority. So actually creating another legislative body, whereas they would, potentially provide their own finance, their own personnel, their full-time firefighters if that was deemed necessary. And then the city would just be contracting with this authority going forward. That board, then you would have another board, and obviously we would have, if we decide to go this direction, the city would have 2 council members most likely that are on that board that would report back to council. We just went through this similar action with the BAWA, the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority, and there's many different levels of a joint powers authority. That particular authority has no employees. It's still just, it's more of a decision-making body. This, we don't know what it looks like right now. It could turn into an authority that, has taxing powers to be able to raise a property tax or something to fund additional parts of the fire department, perhaps a full-time fire department or full-time EMS service. But again, this process will vet out what it looks like, what the city and the district needs going forward in fire services. And the chief would be very involved, actually would be probably the most critical component in these discussions. So there are no costs associated with this at this time. And staff would recommend that council approve the proposed resolution by title only to create an ad hoc fire advisory committee and appoint 2 council members to said committee.
Looks very appropriate for the discussions we've been having. So it makes total sense to me to explore it further.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think we're at that point where we need to start looking this direction, because the services are changing from what's been established for decades. And I think we're at that point to at least entertain it and see what the districts have changed, our needs have changed, our, personnel issues within the state of California. So yeah, I'd like to, I'm supportive. It needs to happen.
So I am a member of the Fire Department Executive Committee, and during
almost every meeting over the last 6 months, we talk about it, and the district members are supportive of the idea. So yes, it's appropriate to do it.
Agreed. It's time to look at it. It's definitely evolving quickly right now with EMS, the way EMS is going in the world right now. And I think that Chief Dell is responding to many of those calls right now. So it's time to take another wholesale look at EMS and fire as a whole again, and what this, and this also will bring up the discussion, and we need probably, I would suggest that we bring in 1 or 2 members of just the public, someone at large to be part of this. So we get, that representation from the public of what they expect from a fire department as well. And I'll add, I know we haven't got to that part yet, but just so I don't forget that Councilmember Mahovey said that he has an interest to be on one of these ad hoc committee members. So when you guys discuss that, keep that in mind.
It kind of makes sense to me to have you and Stephen be on it because you guys are on the executive committee, but does that make sense, or don't you have any interest?
I guess it makes sense in the way that I've been part of the committee for over a year. So I have a little bit of background, and I'll be happy to serve in that ad hoc committee.
Yeah, and again, it's, at the beginning, it'll be kind of a time, it'll use up we'll just have to spend some time getting through the very beginning. But we used BBK law out of Riverside to do our joint powers authority for the wastewater. I've reached out to Ward Simmons, they're one of their lead counsel, and they are very well versed at setting up fire joint powers authorities in the fire too. It's a very common thing that's happening out in the world right now. So yeah, we're not, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. It's just figuring out what we need.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll support Stephen and Jose on that. I think when you look at it from lots of angles, protect ourselves financially and with the public and legally. So yeah, I think you
And provide the
I think you
service.
guys can do all that.
Okay, any public comment?
I see no raised hands.
With that, I would make a motion to approve the proposed resolution by title only to create an ad hoc fire advisory committee and appoint Councilmember Garcia and Councilmember Mahovey to said committee.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, creating an ad hoc fire advisory committee. Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay,
Thank you, Council.
resolution. A proposed resolution approving the adoption of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Benefits Trust administered by Public Agency Retirement Services, PARS. Administration.
There you go. Thank you again. And I forgot, we could, if we'd put Councilperson Kong on there, we could act like if they weren't here, they got put on the committee, right? So, as you probably all remember at our last meeting, Mitch Barker from PARS came and gave us a presentation about a potential way to deal with our unfunded liabilities going forward. He had brought up the idea of the PARS 115 pension trust option. If you remember, we already have an OPEB trust for our unfunded healthcare liabilities. This would be very, very similar, but to deal with pension liabilities only. Well, not only, I'll get into that as we go further. Currently, the City of Bishop has approximately a balance of 3.5 million in the California's Employees Retirement Benefit Trust Fund with CalPERS. At this time, if we decide to establish the PARS trust, we would, staff would recommend that we move that $3.5 million over to the PARS trust, combining them in a pension healthcare trust together. It would, as Mitch stated, it creates greater flexibility for the city and control of their money. We can decide whether pension, if times were troubling, that we could go pension or healthcare that's not dedicated to only one. Also, PARS is much more hands-on with dealing with their customers. As Mitch said, we've done our homework, and as you can see, and Mitch brought it as well, there are many different local government agencies within the region here that already participate with PARS. So the expected benefits offered by PARS are contributions are placed in executive benefit trust that will address the city's net pension liability, investment flexibility, increased risk diversification of plan assets through a different asset management, and investments can be tailored to the City of Bishop's needs. If this is approved by council tonight, we would bring to you in the budget hearings in the next meeting a proposed plan on funding the plan and moving our money, and then not only what we would move our money, but also what additional investment we'll make into this through the general fund currently that we have. We'll come up with a funding policy so that we, right now OPEB trust, we put 9% of everybody's salary into the OPEB trust yearly. We would hope to be able to do that with the pension trust, but at the very minimum, we also have a savings with PERS when we pay our pensions. If we pay a annual payment, that savings overpaid monthly payments, we would at least like to put that minimum savings of paying a one-time yearly cost into this trust as well. I think there's endless opportunity to how we could do this, and it will make the city just so much more financially stable going forward. So at this point, staff would recommend that we waive the full reading and adopt by title only a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop approving the adoption of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Trust administered by Public Agency Retirement System, or PARS, and approve the accompanying agreement.
I really liked the gentleman's presentation. He made what seems so complicated very simple, and it makes a ton of sense to me to move in this direction.
Yeah, that was such a great presentation, and sometimes you get presentations that come from Sacramento and it takes hours to even figure out what you're talking about. That was incredibly clean. I think fiscally it is the way smart move, and instead of playing from behind, it gets us out ahead, and we're not having to, oh wow, we have a problem, we should deal with it. It gives us an opportunity to get ahead of it. Well done. And the fact that so many other cities are doing it and, kind of getting into the right program, we should be here too. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I welcome it. And like you said, at budget time, I look forward to, let's see what we can do to stay ahead of this game, because you don't want to get behind in this one.
I agree, 100%. Thank you, Destin.
Yeah, and it was kind of surprising that we did this on the healthcare side, and we have never done it with the pension side. So I think it's long overdue. And it also, a great example, and I don't know that Mitch really brought this up, but during the COVID times when we were unsure of the future, then this trust will allow us to pull from it and cover our pension and healthcare costs and keep the city stable during those sorts of times. So I think it's a great idea, and thank you, Council, for listening and entertaining the idea.
We needed this, so thank you for bringing it.
Yes, we do.
Is there any public comment?
You see no raised hands?
All right.
Would like to make a motion. It's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to make a motion to waive the full reading and adoption by title only, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop approving the adoption of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Benefits Services, PARS.
sorry.
Would you like to be part of the game here? No?
In the related agreement.
And the related agreement. Thank you.
Yes.
I will second that motion.
Call for a vote?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, approving the adoption of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Benefits Trust administered by Public Agency Retirement Services, PARS. Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Great. Any future agenda items?
Madam Mayor, the comment tonight by the lady concerning the Hobson thing, is that something we could look at in the future on the Hobson Grove component for a safer area for schools and residents?
Like stop signs or more, or
Sidewalks?
red striping?
Red striping, I know the neighborhood, I think you would cut into a lot of parking issues.
Okay.
That would actually hurt the residents. But from a stop sign component, would it protect residents, because it is a highly walked little path to schools. Is it something we can have Inyo County look at, and police chief? And
Yes, we can do that. We can go out and kind of just do a wholesale account of that whole area on near the schools over there. And thank you for bringing that up. The red curb is a tough one because normally it's somewhere between 25 and 50 feet from an intersection if you decide to place it there. And then that pretty much a 50-foot lot, then there's no parking in front of those people's houses. So we try to carefully evaluate that, as well as the stop signs, because there's sometimes the stop signs create more problems than good. So we'll definitely look at it all. And
it's one of those ones that's kind of catch-22.
yeah,
Both sides have a good and a bad, but can we look at it?
absolutely.
Perfect.
If possible, since we're gonna be looking into using some of our funds to repair some sidewalks, how about, I'd like to keep pushing my idea of adding the sidewalks in partnership with the homeowners.
Yes, and to answer that question, the reason I wanted to dedicate the RMRA funds that way was so that we could have increased funds in our general fund to do new sidewalks as well. The RMRA, that was my original plan, is doing new sidewalks with it. But unless you can do the complete streets, which means street, trees, ramps, they wouldn't allow that use. So that means we can just move our money around and focus on sidewalk safety with those funds, and then use general fund money and Measure P money to do new sidewalks. So yes, I definitely want to keep that going.
When we do that, let's add that plan to partner with homeowners. If
Yes.
50-50, city provides labor, homeowner buys materials.
Yep, I agree. And we have that in place with sidewalk safety. So all we have to do is just put some more funding into the program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, council and committee reports. Jose, do you have anything to report?
I attended the fishing opener media reception. It was nice being there, welcoming people from out of the area, the vendors, and I should have bought some 50-50 tickets. One person won like 5 or 7 prizes herself. So other than that, not right now, but over the next couple of weeks, I will be very busy. And next meeting, I'll provide a report on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, quickly. I was able to attend, I haven't done much on the council side, but I attended a graduation at Saracoso Community College last Friday. Great service, great presentations. What were about 50? About 50 students participated in it and were awarded degrees on and certificates on different programs. And thanks to Saracoso and all the community, it was great to see what started off as a little baby college turning into this piece of our community and taking us to the next level and taking our citizens to the next level. So well done. It was an honor to be there and watch it happen. And then quickly, not report related, but Elaine, I want to say that trees that years ago was kind of a little dream and we planted them and hope they survived. I was driving down Main Street and I noticed them, and they're actually becoming a part of Main Street. For a long time, they were just some little stuff that you hope didn't get broke off, but I started to see the efforts. And sometimes I think up here on council, we get so much going on in our lives, we miss everything because we're going so focused on other things that we sometimes don't get to see what we've accomplished. And so I saw it. I want to thank you and for what you guys have, it's showing. So that was it.
They do look nice.
Yeah. It kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, whoa, tree.
Yeah.
Where'd that
You
come
love
from?
them until they love the sewer.
Oh, these were, I remember when we did that, it was specially rooted designs. They were
Yeah.
made.
Given strict directions of where the roots could go.
Yeah, they're carefully trained.
Yes.
Okay, your turn.
Well, I attended a meeting for the SCOG, and it was a brief meeting, one of the ones where you keep the electronic communication alive. But we did at that meeting add a little business and approved the grant. There's so many acronyms, but the grant for the PACE and Accelerator program, which is that donut project up in Mammoth, which is the forest thinning to help with fire resiliency. And we awarded that grant to a local agency called the White Bark Institute, which is fantastic. And that will help create all sorts of jobs in our area that will contribute to wildfire resiliency up in the Mammoth Lakes area. So that was the small bit of business that we did during that meeting. And other than that, I don't have any other.
The component that we were kind of overlooking was the buttermilk component,
Oh, right. Well,
which
then
does
that was-
affect us.
Yeah, that's right. We, what did we do for that one? I'm already blanking on that one.
To get the studies going, to
Oh, right. We moved that forward. Right. So,
some help for the buttermilks and starting to look at what we can do up there to enhance restrooms, access.
right, we awarded that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so we will adjourn then to Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. here in the City Council chambers.
Oh, Dean's waving goodbye.
I don't think we heard one peep from Dean.
Good night, council.
We didn't do anything bad tonight.
And I want to say, so much fun to be here in person with everyone and just be able to see the smiles and kid with you and Jose.